Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Tim, and we are going to talk about Ash vs Evil Dead, Season 3, Episode 5. It is called Baby Proof.
Oh, I should have done
Proof?
something where
Proof. Baby Proof. There you go.
I should have been hiding at the bottom of the screen and then pop my head up when you said my name.
Okay. I get why you said that. I'm just, think of these things before the episode, Timmy. Also, have a joke here about how it's baby proof but not Tim proof. Okay. I've cracked my obvious joke. We can move into the episode now. So, we did think last week's was probably the weakest of the season so far, and then this one is very much. It almost feels like this was a two-parter almost with last week's, in
definitely.
a lot of ways. This was the better of the two, I think. I do still have some critiques of the Pablo stuff.
Okay.
Tim clearly just loved it and thinks it's the best thing ever, and he's ready to tear into me for that statement.
Well, and I mean, I can't think of any specific problems, but I'm not necessarily disagreeing with you, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's not so much that there's a specific. It's just because basically what happens with Pablo is he's still after Kelly and Brandy, and there's a couple of funny lines from him from her leg, and they're fighting him, and he gets in, and Brandy stabs him with a dagger. And he sort of lies down, and he goes into, mystic land. He goes into, and he talks to his Bruhé, who, and so it was kind of like this almost like Vision Quest style episode for him, where he goes on this little mission, and he has to, pick the right blood, and that'll get rid of the darkness, and he'll become the new Bruhé. He'll become the super Bruhé.
El Bruje Especial, I think.
There you go. I did not remember the exact phrase. I went with super Bruhé. And... I know, Chris is fine, so obviously Pablo's fine now, and if anything, he's got a little bit of extra power that he can use for the team. That's all fine and well. Yeah. I think, for me, I just typically, very rarely do I enjoy these Vision Quest type plots.
It's the... I don't want to rag on him for trying something different, but it does feel like the most not Evil Dead thing about the series.
Oh, sure, yeah. If you mean the whole thing, because the reason why what I was going to bring up is I think easily the weakest part of Season 1 was the two-parter where they went to his uncle's house, and it was all about the Vision Quest stuff. That was easily the weak part of Season 1. Before it, fantastic. After it, fantastic. Those two episodes, bit weak.
Again, in terms of the series, sure, it is pretty weak. Still better than 99.9% of TV.
I knew you were going to say something like that, Tim. I knew you were going to say that. You don't watch enough TV, Timmy. You're watching all the wrong TV. You watch a lot, but you're watching too much Big Bang Theory. You're watching too much.
Oh no! How dare you, sir?
You're watching Big Bang Theory. You're watching Arrow. I know you are, Tim. At the weekend, just sneaking that in. You're watching all these really boring Marvel Netflix shows, and that's all you've got to compare it to.
I'll let you think that, but no, I know what you're saying though. It's I don't know. I guess I'm not against the idea of them kind of having this stuff in this show, but it definitely takes away from it.
I think it's because there's not anything about the scenes on their own aren't inherently fun by themselves, and then the actual mythology behind it just kind of feels like, oh, we can just basically make this up as we go along. There's no real weight to any of it. It's just you have to do a thing with the blood. The naked lady even saying it's me that sent her, and you do this and you'll get rid of the evil and you'll be super Bruhé, and then you can help your friends save the world.
Yeah. I mean, I can't argue with it.
Yeah. So obviously my favorite part of it, of course, is when he wakes up and Kelly, she's kissing him on the head, and then she's like, "Oh, screw it," and she goes in for a proper kiss. It's a big because obviously he's had a crush on her since the start of Season 1. This is a big moment, and he immediately goes, "We have to find Ash," and she's like, "Seriously, Pablo?" Like, no, that was great. The kiss was great, but end of the world. We need to deal with things. So I'm glad that they're finally pulling the trigger on that a little bit because I've been rooting for those two crazy kids for 2.5 seasons. It's about time.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah, I like them together. I think they make a nice cool couple, and it's nice to see them both happy.
Yeah, he's her strong vagina. So Brandy seems to be on board a little bit more after seeing all this and helping with this fight, because because Kelly's like, hey, right, go find your dad, like, tell him what's happening. And she's like, okay, fine, I'll go to the hardware store. She's like, stay away from Ruby. And she's like, and she seems to be pretty much on board at this point. She's like, not really arguing after what she's just seen.
I think it feels like a little bit of a fast switch. Like I feel like her character would still need time to process it, or maybe be freaking out a little bit. But I'm totally fine with them being like, who cares? Let's just get her on board. Because honestly, I don't want to see much more of her being conflicted or wondering what's going on, or like I'm glad that we can kind of get past that.
I mean, she saw a little Pablo face on Kelly's legs, you know, and she saw like Pablo essentially die, have all these really weird dark wounds appear, and then he's fine after that. All his tattoos are gone and everything. She's seen enough to know that there's at least some unexplained shit going on. So some of this evil crap's real, if nothing else. But meanwhile, Ash spends most of the episode still in the house, and he's with Heidi. In fact, he made me laugh in the first 3 seconds of the episode, because he immediately turned around and said to her, "Hey, I don't speak French," which is clearly speaking, you know, a Nordic language of some kind,
Swedish or something.
I don't know. It's hard. Honestly, they all sound pretty similar to me, between Swedish, Norwegian, you know, all that range. They're pretty similar.
Fair.
Come on, you debate this with me?
No.
All right, good. Right, so we have them kind of still attached with the sink for a little bit, and they're trying to run away from the kid, and the kid's got a little kind of natural chainsaw hand, which makes Ash realise that it's kind of from him.
Yeah. We saw like a little bit of a glimpse in it in maybe it was the second episode when we first saw him, but it was a...
Yeah, because you told me after the fact, but I never noticed it in the episode.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, now we get like a proper like look at it, and I do love that, like, Ash realizing like, oh, that he must be my kid because he has a chainsaw hand.
Brandy doesn't have a chainsaw hand. To be fair, she was conceived pre-chainsaw. I know she wasn't actually. Yeah. She wasn't. She was conceived after Evil Dead 2.
Was she?
Well, she's only like 17, 18.
And I guess
she was conceived after he came back through time.
I just can't imagine Ash having that mustache before the events of the movies take place.
Which is good, because it's after the events of the movies taking place.
Well, no, I mean...
you meant after.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
It just... I don't know. That mustache just looks like too retro for him to have gotten it after he came back and had all his adventures and stuff.
I think that's exactly why Ash would have that mustache. He's exactly the character who would do the wrong stylistic choice with his facial hair.
We'll see.
As the entire police force comes for Tim.
We can take a look at those pictures, see if he has his robot hand or not.
Well, he wouldn't have his robot hand yet. That didn't happen till this show.
Well, he still had like kind of a robot-y hand in Army of Darkness.
Oh yeah, you're kind of right.
Like I guess there's no circuitries, but for some reason it was still a metal hand that he could control.
Oh sure. I'm just thinking at the start of this show though, he had like just a plain old wooden hand or whatever it was. So I was just assuming that he didn't really get much use out of that when he came back through time. Maybe I'm wrong, but
fair.
This is a weird debate to be having. I don't know why we're even going down this path.
We need a prequel series to see exactly what happened.
A prequel to Ash, just not versus anything, just Ash on his own for some years. But anyways, so they run outside, or outside the attic, I mean, and we get the little chainsaw hand coming through the door. Which reminds me, actually, at one point during the Kelly Pablo fight and Brandy's there, we seem to have a running joke where Brandy's getting like liquid just thrown at her face, because at one point Pablo like pukes out all this like liquid in her face.
Yeah.
And I'm like, man, this is becoming a trend. Her just getting drenched and shit. Like I'm down with this. This is a funny running joke. But yeah, so obviously, like, Ash discovers, okay, Ruby's been spying on me for decades. All right, so some shady stuff going on, and fighting ensues. They're running away from the kid. They're getting, But eventually, Heidi gets the key for the handcuffs. She knocks Ash out. The kid kills her, right? She gets killed with the little Ash kid. And then we get this episode's, easily the standout ridiculous sequence of the episode, which is where the baby, the toddler, goes inside dead Heidi's body. Well, she's decapitated. He's bit off her entire head. And he goes inside her body and controls her body from the inside, occasionally sticking his head out of the neck that now has no head on it. He sticks his head out of that. And then, of course, later on, he sticks his head out of her vagina. Comes out from between the legs. And even Ash is like, that is wrong in so many ways.
Yeah, this whole sequence is fantastic. Just the way that, like, I love how it's moving. It's very, like, kind of herky-jerky, like, floppy, which I just think is cool and creepy. And then, yeah, every time he kind of pops up and, like, gives it, like, a little smile. And then, yeah, it's again, just something that feels, like, very Evil Dead-y, in the way that it's so bizarre and like gross and everything.
Yeah, no, it's just really so ridiculous and over the top. And then he actually stuffs a bowling ball inside the neck so that the kid can't pop out there anymore. And then he puts a bowling ball on the floor and basically kicks her leg so she does the splits and the bowling ball goes up her vagina. That's basically how he wins this fight. And then the kid is trapped inside the body. He rolls it up in a rug and puts it in the car. And he's like, right, this is proof. I'm going to go show Brandy that, this is real. This is an evil kid version of me. And yeah, because showing her a decapitated corpse with a child stuck inside the body will not freak her out in any way. Ash has some of the weirdest logic ever.
I mean, that already in itself is like not the best idea, but just the fact that he decides to do it.
Not the best.
But just the fact that he also does it like right in front of a sheriff. I was like, Ash, what are you doing?
Oh,
like,
yes, because obviously Brandy goes to the store at the end after her plot. Ash, comes around the car, gets out, is like, I'm going to show you this, and then Ruby shows up, and then the sheriff shows up, and, Ruby's pretending to still be the guidance counsellor, for Brandy's sake, and he's like, well, I'm going to show you the evidence that this is all real. I'm like, the sheriff, Ash. I don't care if there is a body, like a kid inside it, like, still, a decapitated corpse is in your trunk, and he opens the car, and the body's gone. The kid's just lying there with blood all over his face, is implying that he has eaten the entire body from inside out. That is the implication. And it just looks like he's kidnapped a kid, and the kid's covered in blood. That's what it looks like. And you think, oh no, Ruby's going to talk Brandy. Oh, Brandy can come stay with me. And the sheriff's like, oh, we have to talk about this, Ash. This is serious business. And then Brandy instead gets in the car and says, Dad, let's go. And she does a runner with him. And he's like, that's the first time you called me Dad.
Yeah. A couple of things about this. Number one, as stupid as Ash is for doing all this in front of the sheriff, the sheriff is also pretty bad at her job. Like, why you would see that and not instantly arrest that person is beyond me.
Because he's a town hero, Tim.
Still, that's pretty damning stuff. I mean, unless again. Yeah, I kind of brought this question up a little earlier in the season. Is just how much do these town people know about deadites and monsters and stuff? I can give her a little bit of a pass. If she knows, okay, there is weird demony stuff going on. Maybe this is involved. All right, fine. Also, yeah, not sure if you notice, but that is definitely a different kid that's in the trunk.
I did notice that. I was wondering if that was intentional. He turned into a normal kid, essentially. Because the hand had changed as well. The hand was different too.
Yeah, I think they could easily make an excuse like that. I thought it was funny though when I watched the behind the scenes after the episode, and the producer, one of the reasons why they used a different kid is because he said the other kids they were using kept screaming when they would close the trunk door. So I just thought it was funny, this Hollywood producers complaining about how unprofessional these kids are because they wouldn't cooperate when you close them inside of a trunk of a car.
I'm on his side. Little shit should do the job properly. That's actually something that when you think about, like, in a movie when a baby's crying, the baby's not acting. They just made the baby cry because you can't make a baby pretend to cry.
Sure. Yeah.
So they're just making a baby cry. They're just torturing a baby.
Yeah, I think one of the one of the stories I always think about is I don't know if you've seen that movie God Bless America.
I have not. No.
Really good. I like it. Bobcat Goldthwait written and directed movie. In the opening scene is kind of like this fantasy scene with at least I think it was fantasy. I don't remember. Maybe it was real, but
There was a movie maybe that it maybe existed by Bobcat Goldthwait.
Well, no, the movie's real. I just forget if the opening sequence was like a dream or something that actually happened. But there is like a scene with a baby in there, and it's supposed to cry. And I've heard the director tell the story a couple times that they just could not like get it to cry, and then eventually he just had to like, I don't know, like get up in his face and like just like I don't know, make like a bunch of like weird scary faces and like try to like scare him. But I don't know, it's just funny being like, yeah, I had to like go up and basically like scream in this baby's face to get it to cry.
Dear. Nothing ethically wrong about any of this. It's all fine.
No, that's fine.
It's all fine.
Those babies chose to be in Hollywood, so
yes, they did. They made that choice. They signed up knowing what they were getting. So no, so I thought this was a pretty good episode. I thought it was better than last week's. I think the Pablo stuff was a little bit weaker, but we had the big ridiculous fight with the headless lady. Little chainsaw hand was cracking me up. There was definitely funny lines throughout. Big Kelly Pablo moment at the end of their plot. So there was a lot to enjoy in this one.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. It definitely feels like you said, like part 2 of the last episode. Because again, our big complaint about that was just that, like, oh yeah, it's fine, but there's a Yanni big huge set piece, and then this one kind of felt like, reactionary to that, where it's basically like all set pieces, and yeah, it moves the story along. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. If I do have 2 small complaints, which.
But this is better than 99% of all TV, Tim. How could you have 2 complaints?
Well, this is actually, these are larger complaints because this affects. I can't blame the show because every show and movie and stuff does this. When they use 2 lines that I really, really don't like. So one you mentioned earlier, when all this crazy baby stuff is going on, and it's popping out the head and then flipping upside down and popping out the vagina, and that's very funny and stuff. But then Ash goes like, "Oh, that is so wrong," and I think that's just such like an old, tired, hacky line. Like, I don't know, it just really annoys me.
I never noticed that. What Elena did like just before that though, when he was with Heidi, he says WTF, and he's like, "I got that from my teenage daughter."
Yeah, that was funny. But it's just so annoying. Like, I feel like part of it is, the whatever writer, director, producer, whoever, I feel like it's them telling the audience like, hey, this is messed up, isn't it? Like, like, ooh, like this. And it's like, yeah, we get it. like, you don't have to apologize for it. You don't have to call it out.
That line didn't stick out to me, but like lines that stick out to me that really upset me when they're used, because I'm like, how could these still be used? The phrase "it's all connected" upsets me to no end, because
actually, yeah, that bothered me too, because that was really like I felt like they thought we were stupid, that like we wouldn't get what was going on. It's like, yeah, you stuffed a sock in the mouth on your leg and it came out of Pablo's mouth. Like, we get that they're the same.
Yeah, so the phrase "it's all connected" really bothers me. There's other ones as well. Usually when it's like, oh wait, I can explain, that line bothers me because it's used so often.
That's true. There's one other line that bothered me, and I actually never really noticed it before, until they pointed it out on a podcast I listened to, the iFanboy podcast. They review comic books and stuff, and there's a line in comic books that they hate because you see it all the time. And ever since they pointed out, like, I can't not notice it when I see it in a book, and I wonder if you'll start noticing it too, because it's just
actually, I think I know what this is.
Okay, it's whenever someone says "I got this,"
Yeah, nah, I knew that.
yeah,
I knew that was that. Yeah.
I was like, it's yeah. I mean, it's not like a horrible line, but it is just something where it's like it's used all the time, and then it's just yeah. I don't know. Kelly says at some point, I'm like, uh, yeah, it's fine, but yeah, probably could have thought of something better.
Yeah.
Just so yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm sure someone in the industry is listening, so just stop with those lines.
Um,
Yeah, that is so wrong. It's all connected. I got this. Three lines that never need to be said again.
There you have it. There's the Tim corner, the complaint corner from Tim on this week's Evil Dead review. But that is us. So let us know what you thought of this episode in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all the usual stuff. Get us on the Twitters at mail_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do that over there. There's a link in the description. But otherwise, that is us. So thank you once again for watching. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV. Have you got any vanilla?
No.